Hello. Salutations.
Oh,
bro, that's
it.
the line.
Ooh, yes.
That's the line.
Money.
Oh, that feels good.
Key word right there.
Yes. So salutations, everyone. As you can tell, we are
Present.
live on the internet. Thanks for watching. No, we're on YouTube right now. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming Twitter even. Twitter's getting some love right now, so that's pretty exciting.
A lot of love.
TikTok shortly.
TikTok will get a hit. It's at SixScore on pretty much everything, except for our Instagram. I don't know who stole that. Somebody stole that from us on Instagram. I don't really understand.
Anyone know that person? Please.
Reach out to us.
Yeah.
That'd be
DM,
whatever.
whatever.
Talk to them.
At them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, we're at
like,
Sports
buddy
Injury.
guys.
At Sports Injury Central on Instagram if you want to follow
Yes.
along there. But we are not live over there, which we could probably do that too. I mean, if you want to get crazy, but maybe in the future. I don't know. But we're about to record another fantasy football show. Heading into week 15, it's the playoffs. That's pretty exciting. But before we get into all the content and all that stuff, we're going to have to set the mood here. From what I understand.
I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
So we're in the Christmas mood. I want to get like kind of negative though, like Bad Santa kind of thing.
Oh,
like
okay.
Bad Santa is a good movie, but it definitely has a negative feel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a great movie though. What is the worst present you've ever gotten? And don't ask me my answer because I was thinking about this question. I don't know.
I know you don't have an answer to
I
it.
don't have an answer.
I guess that's the thing about it, right? If it's a bad gift, it's not going to be memorable.
But it might.
know.
Is it so bad that it is?
I mean,
Like socks aren't even a bad gift because like I can
nowadays. No,
I
nowadays.
actually
Like when
ask
I was
for
a
socks
kid.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
when I
sure.
was a kid, I was like, socks. But now I'm like, yo, give me those socks. Like, you're right. I do need these. Like,
Only socks I wanted as a kid were the ones that were like also slipper socks, so you could like just like run around crazy in them. Those are my
I
favorite.
have like a
sounds-
cop-out question. Like when I was young, I wanted like a Game Boy Advance for like 3 straight Christmases,
Woo.
but like I didn't get it until the 3rd Christmas. So like every present that wasn't that was considered a bad gift. But then like I got the gift of a lesson that like if you wait, you'll treasure it more. So
Specifically
Yeah.
3 years.
yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
everyone's already beat all the
I was
fun
the worst,
games. So
'cause, like,
yeah, you're
I
a little
would-
late to the game.
I would have like a dream that I like woke up and got it, and then I'd like wake up and I'd be like, "Was that real?"
Oh my gosh. So yeah, you
were
got your
really
advance,
fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
and then the Nintendo DS already came out. So
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
exactly.
nowadays you can't wait for years.
I got it when it was on the downswing for sure. It
Yeah.
was, like, DS
That was a
just came out,
bargain.
so
Got
now
a
I got
deal.
it.
Yeah.
I respect.
For
I
sure.
respect the family for
Just shout out my
saving
parents. You
some
know,
money.
they came through. I just,
All right.
just had a little patience.
Justin,
get
you
in-
though, like he's had more disappointment 3 years straight.
I
I'll
can't
accept
pick out
that
one
answer.
gift.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the worst gift is just disappointment of like
No,
Can
I'm
I-
kidding.
being
can I-
What you
greedy as a
want.
child. You
Can
know,
I tell you? I actually figured out which one it is the worst one. I remember specifically. So I always like thought it was cool when I was listening to hip hop and stuff. I got the CD player and I asked my mom, because I was living with my dad at the time. I asked my mom for the new Lil Wayne Carter 4.
Ooh.
She sent it to me with the non-expletive version. I was listening. It was the worst thing I've ever listened
hey,
to.
at least it wasn't like Kids Bop remix.
I mean,
like,
yeah,
almost, right?
it's a step up from Kids Bob, right? You can still bang that, right?
I just remember that specifically, like so disappointed because I was ready to like slap the CD in, like listen to it, and then I just listened to it. It was immediate disappointment.
well,
I
knowing,
think
knowing you, that was 100% the right move from your mom because you would have been like
Yeah.
walking to school, splitting out
sure.
all the expletives, all that.
I think
stuff.
the best
So,
thing,
not that
best
it
thing to
stopped
do,
you.
best thing to do with like a clean version of rap music is to treat it as like a Mad Lib. So like you're
Yeah.
listening to it and you're like, what are they saying there? And
Add
it's just
your
like a
own.
fill it in
No,
yourself.
for sure.
You could
I just
say
wasn't as
whatever you
creative
want
at
there.
the time. I was just more anger. I think.
Yeah.
I was mad that I didn't.
All right,
what I wanted.
Justin, your bad present. We got to get to some.
I don't
injury
have a
rundown.
bad present. I'll like every time I think of Christmas, all I can think about is my
Ooh.
best gift, which was it was
That's
a
the point of the question, though. Yeah.
no, I can't think of the bad one. I can only
Yeah.
think of the really, really, really good one that I got, and
That's because
and
you're a
that was
positive dude. You're always glass half full. So
it was
I
a
respect
Game
it.
Boy Color Pokemon edition in like 1998. It was like the pinnacle of my Christmas.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But
But all right,
the
let's
Dreamcast I was given. So
There you go.
Oh,
shout out.
Dreamcasts are nice though. Those
Yeah,
are
I have the
sweet.
same PS2.
Still works.
Same PS2 I was given like 10 Christmas ago. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotta keep
That's
it.
it. That's it. Getting your value out of that. All right, let's get into the podcast here.
All right, we'll hold his feet to the fire a little bit later. He wants to give like the off mic answer because it's like something his wife gave him or something.
He wants to torture you. Did you hear that? He wants to
What are you
hold your
talking
feet
about?
to fire.
No, I don't want to do any of that. No, it's no. I want to get to the fantasy football content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I want to.
company man.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Fire
It's-
content. Yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
it's another fantasy football show presented by Sports Injury Central. I'm Justin here with Jacob and Taylor. Welcome, guys. How's it feel? It's playoff season now.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone whose fantasy hopes are still alive. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're still listening
to
to fantasy football content, then
That
kudos
means you're
to
in
you.
it. I would
You're
say.
in. Yeah.
Scott Fish for me, I'm loving it. I am in the top 1,000. So this was the big cutoff though, because other ones they've been chopping off like 200, 300 people. This one's 500. So the top 500 will advance. So it's getting nitty gritty.
It's a little Squid Gamesy, but yeah, I like it. It's a good competition.
Love it. Now if it's Squid Gamey, I love it even more. Yeah.
All right,
I'm ready for season 2 of that, by the way, but that's
Oh,
going
yeah.
to come in the future.
Which is
all these
coming.
shows take so long to come out.
They're
but
making
it's
it.
all
They're
right.
definitely going to make
Worth
it.
the
so,
wait.
Yes.
All
Let's
right.
get to the injury rundown. Big news today. Saquon Barkley not listed on the injury report with his neck. It seemed more game script related. The Pro Football Docs were never had a big concern that it was a long-term issue. His neck, just sore neck, popped up last Thursday, but good to see he's off it. He'll be full go this week with the big matchup against the Commanders. Not so good news for Ramondre Stevenson. By video, he's dealing with a mild high ankle sprain and a turf toe. So never a good combo. Looks like he's not going to be in your fantasy lineups this week.
That's huge because he's probably in a lot of key people's lineups. He was a late value.
He got
add.
me there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
you might be looking at, we'll get to it later, but you might be looking at Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris,
For sure.
who stepped in. So Lamar Jackson going to miss another week with that knee, but Tyler Huntley looking like he's going to clear concussion protocol, logged the FP today, which is crucial. They have the Saturday game. So everyone, hopefully, you have to set your lineup by Saturday, but everyone's in that cadence doing it Thursday anyway. So
Keep forgetting about the Saturday games. It's that time of the
It's a
year. So
surprise.
yeah, it's going to
No
throw some
college
people
football,
off.
so.
That's what it is. College football, like they take yours off, so then you have to go right to your NFL. So it usually helps out. But there's people that play college football fantasy like me, and it gets crazy during the season. So
No, absolutely. Big help in my lineup for sure is Kenneth Walker coming back from his ankle. Just missed one week. Hopefully he's full snaps, but kind of remains to be seen. That injury was just 11 days ago, and he missed the week prior. So hopefully he's full go. 11 days since injury, even though he wasn't 7 days since injury. So
That's
we'll
an
see how that plays out.
That's an
It's a
interesting
tough
one.
one.
Kenneth
Yeah, that's
Walker's
interesting. Yep.
really good at football, but also so is the 49ers defense. So, and he's coming off injury. Like, that's a scary situation. He's either going to like erupt for like a million, or you're going to be very disappointed. I don't think there's going to be an in between.
very volatile for him.
It's a decision that'll keep you up at night for sure. Luckily,
Yeah, but you gotta ride your guys, right?
Because I have to, I need to start 2 running backs, and him, Calvin Kamara, and Ramondre are my 3 options. So Ramondre's not an option. That means Kenneth Walker's plugged in.
Gotta do.
Tyreek Hill's ankle, I know he scared a lot of fantasy owners last week after that fumble, scoop, and score, which I don't know why you don't get rushing yards, but at least you get the touchdown from that. So
You never did. I know people want to in fantasy because it's the playoffs and stuff. But yeah,
he ran the ball though.
Besides that, though, can we just take in the fact that's probably one of the craziest touchdowns we've ever
absolutely.
seen?
So it helped more than it hurt for sure. So looks like that was just a minor bumps and bruises. They've been talking positively about it all week. Jeff Wilson Jr., a little bit of question mark with that hip that he suffered on that fumble. To our Pro Football Docs by video, didn't look overly concerning long term, but still status up in the air for this week. Remember, they're the Saturday game as well, so one less day rest for him. Cortland Sutton still not practicing with a hamstring, not looking great. He has Brett Rippon at quarterback most likely anyways after that Russell Wilson concussion. So Jerry Jeudy season maybe continues, but remains to be seen.
Yeah, Sutton's weird for me right now. Like, it's a hamstring injury, and that it's the Broncos, and it's like, is he somebody that you would consider dropping? Like, for if there was somebody, I don't know. Like,
if you have like a
league,
leagues like the one we have in our company league,
if
made
it's
it hard.
crazy deep,
Yeah,
right.
if it's
definitely
crazy, then
hold.
yes, exactly. But no, that's a certain point because like hamstrings are bad, especially for like wide receiver. If you're dictating the play, like you're going to be shut down very easily by a very healthy cornerback. So, and then Jeudy, look what Jeudy did without him. So in the position they are in, I don't know if they're officially ruled out, but we should rule them out. And if so, then why would you play him, right?
I think it's a fair question to ask if we see Russell Wilson again this season. I mean, there's not huge long-term effects from rushing back from concussion, but if he clears protocol, he's going to play. I mean, he's going to want to play. He's a big signing. They want to get things down with the offensive line and stuff like that. But concussions are a big question mark. So who knows if that lingers until week 17, week 18. It remains to be seen. So
money standpoint, like you just said, I think you force him out there.
Yeah,
But, yeah.
he's going to want to be out there.
I don't know. See, I'm kind of the opposite belief. Is like
Okay.
you just paid him a lot of money.
You
These
wanna
games are
protect the asset?
meaningless.
Yeah. I get
Just
it.
Why do you
sit.
throw him out there to get another
Just
concussion?
sit. Also,
potentially?
stop trying to learn this offense because we're not going to have this coach anymore. You know what I mean? Like, just don't even
100%
worry
accurate.
about
Yep.
it, dude. Let's
For sure.
let's start looking at other coaches' playbooks and study that because
Or just rest until like another offense is implemented, and then because you don't learn an offense like knowing him, he ain't able to learn like 8 different offenses at once and they'll pick one. So no,
right.
you're right though.
Yeah.
Like there's different angles to it. Like for sure, you paid so much, you need to let him see what he's doing. Like what
you
he
let
can
him
do.
cook.
Yeah, let him cook. Whatever
He was
macaroni.
that's what's
from
sad.
2 day old he's cooking.
They had
just
their best
starting to
game of the
cook.
season.
He
Yeah,
was
that was
just
like an
starting to
insane
cook.
game.
Yeah,
that was
Poor
surprising.
guy. Wish the best for him. Daniel Bellinger with the ribs. He just got back from his eye fracture from the odd finger through the face mask, and now he's dealing with ribs. So he was LP in practice. He's a big part of that Giants pass catching because they have nobody else. I mean, it's not Galladay. A little bit of Slayton. Now it's Hodgins coming on the scene, but they're deep in that depth chart at wide receiver.
They need to run. Richie James has the concussion, I believe, which
Yeah,
will take
so-
out of there.
yeah,
Right?
he's likely not playing this week against Commanders.
So
Amari
Bellinger
Cooper,
did Bellinger suit
Go
up? Bellinger played a little bit last week, right?
he played
So
last week. He
did
had like
anybody
4 or
see
5
if he was
catches.
wearing a visor?
He
I
had,
didn't
an,
even-
he
I
had an
didn't
eye
see.
patch. He had an eye patch. Jack
No,
Sparrow.
stop it. Stop. No, I just was wondering if he came back with a visor because if somebody gouged my eye out, I think I'd maybe throw a visor on my helmet.
He's been out for a while,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like immediately after gouging he played. But
You're right. That's fair. But I'm just saying, just
with
to
no
prevent.
knowledge of the situation, I'm gonna say 100% he had a visor.
those
We
are
had
the
no
two injuries.
video on it, but
He has the 2 injuries. I feel
how
like
would
are
you
like
not?
they're
Why would
like-
you not?
They're war injuries, like
Yeah.
ribs and eye. Like not like my ankle or my. I'm not saying to say like that. Like those are serious injuries, but like knee and ankle, those are very like hamstring. Those are very common. He's got like rib and like eye. That sounds like he like went through like a dryer or
Like a
something.
steakhouse.
Like a washing
He's a
machine.
steak,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah, like
Yeah,
ribeye.
it's a steak, a little ribeye.
Yep.
Action, yeah.
Amari Cooper is still dealing with that hip injury. Got to think he's going to suit up this week. He didn't have a setback in the last game, but he's still figuring things out with Deshaun Watson. So maybe a little bit limited snaps last week, so that kind of hurt his fantasy performance. But you're gonna trust him this week in lineups.
I love Peoples-Jones, so I was liking the more usage from Jones. But the one thing I will say, Watson is looking better. The inaccuracies is they're starting to clean up a little bit. That was what we were expecting, right? Like still, he only threw like one touchdown, 275, 276. So it wasn't a great game.
It's gonna be his 3rd week of football. Like
His
that's
team-
a lot to ask for him.
He led an offense that only had 10 points. So and what the week before they didn't score much either. So 27, right? But like half it was the defense. So I mean, like you said, this has been a long time. But it sucks because I think we talked about this before. Cooper and Jones were being sustained so well by Brissett.
It's a big impact on Nick Chubb too.
Chubb only had 34. I mean, Watson is a mobile runner. He had 33. So that's 6 carries that Watson had.
Kareem Hunt, like
Yep.
it's a big impact in the offense.
They're all
week
learning.
12, so it's tough.
They're all learning on the fly. They're 5-8. They're a team that like some of their drive is definitely lost. You have a guy like Garrett that's like has one arm basically, right?
He's gonna get shoulder surgery.
and
after
it's not
season,
his fault.
probably,
He
yeah.
had a massive car accident that
Yeah.
was upside down. So, and then you have Clowney. I think he's just like fallen off in in age. He had he's had knee issues his whole career. So it's just something that like you need to watch these like playoffs. Just leading into a bigger point that a lot of these teams aren't going to be trying as much. They're going to be trying like Ripien. They might play him more just because they want to see what he can do. They haven't seen much from him.
That might help certain guys.
Yeah. Like
Greg
Watson,
Dulcich, we'll see, but
Watson's
yeah.
going to throw like probably 100 times every game just so they can see what he can do.
right,
So that's going to take, like you
they're
said,
building for next year. Yeah,
the attempts are going to take away from Chubb. I would argue that team kind of turns towards like a passing attack too. So maybe Hunt's definitely gone for sure. Kareem Hunt's gone.
Right.
So Chubb, one man, it's an issue that you need to make sure when you're setting your lineups, like what the teams are playing for and how many snaps these players are playing. Like a team that's already locked up a playoff spot, why would their top player play a fourth quarter? You know what I mean? Stuff like that you need to keep in mind.
Two, I forgot to mention Justin Fields with the illness. It's Wednesday, so he's going to play.
What did he eat on his bye?
Yeah, exactly. Big matchup against the Eagles, so you got to think he'll be out there. He played through the shoulder, so he's a gamer. He's tough.
Another week healthier, yeah.
Pat Freiermuth has dealing with the foot thing. He said he got rolled up on, but he expects to play this week. Tight ends and feet are not great, but he doesn't need to be too mobile. So hopefully he'll be able to figure that out.
He's like a truck, kind of.
Yeah, Trubisky is kind of the bigger question mark for that start.
Because he
Kenny Pickett with a concussion. So
there was multiple throws we were watching too during that game. He looks like he's throwing alley-oops into injury for some of these wide receivers. Like so some of these balls, like Deontay Johnson has to move away. Like
you can't miss high over the middle, and he constantly does.
He does, and it's an issue for a lot of like these players need to watch themselves, especially Freiermuth. We talked about him. He's already at 3 already in a very small window. So that's something to watch as well.
Some settled news already. Damian Pierce. There he is with the
check that visor though. Sorry, I don't want to cut in. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can check it out. But yeah, he's got the LT visor going on. Bellinger does. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
what was the exact injury he had, Jacob?
It literally got like a crushed
fracture.
eyeball. I thought. Yeah,
orbital fracture. So
not ball.
Thank you for your doctor analysis.
He's got a crushed eye hole.
Like, finger inside. Like
yeah.
Remember the video we saw? The way he had to like ninja the hand in there.
Yeah,
like it was insane to have that torque to put in there. Yeah,
somebody had to have some tiny hands, right? It's little baby hands to get in there and punch.
Remember we talked about it on the Pro Doc podcast. This is a Kenny Pickett poke.
Oh,
right, with the hands.
That's it.
With the hands.
Yes. Damian Pierce, high ankle sprain, gonna miss at least 2, maybe 3 weeks. So that's not great news for anyone who's relying on him for the fantasy playoffs.
I think a lot of people were. He reminds me of Stevenson. Yeah,
it was you.
There's a lot of people.
He got a lot of people to the playoffs.
You're 4-0 in your leagues this year, Justin. So that's the kind of players like Pierce that we talked about and Stevenson. Those are players that you didn't have to draft late on, or you did draft late on, that are valuable, that are becoming top 10 at their position. And that's why you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, my situation in that league in particular, I got kind of fortunate because now Dobbins is back, but it was literally Deonta Foreman and Pierce were my only running backs like the whole season pretty much.
Back in a little way. I mean, he had a crazy, very statistically, great game. But I mean, we all saw the video. I hope he can get better because it was just looked weird. And there's so many of the laymen that look at that video that are like, oh, like what's going on with his knee? Like sometimes it looked like if you rewinded it was going the other way,
right. But what's crazy is he was over 20 miles an hour on that run. Like he was still hauling, but it looked weird.
He would have scored, I think, if he was fully healthy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No, but like the game he had, like good for him. Like we've always talked about, we weren't bashing him to start the year. We just knew he wasn't going to be fully ready. He came back so early, so
you got to admire his grit for being out there, but he's definitely not 100%.
Oh,
all I'm saying is,
and everyone's like, you're good the next week. No, it's a multi-week deal that he's going to be finishing the year with. So
that's why
I'm happy
he looks
back.
Progressively better. But
fantasy. Oh, sorry, go on, Justin.
No. I'm saying like I'm happy he's back to fill that Damian Pierce hole because like I think I was going to have to do it again and start my guy Kyron Williams, which is like I don't want to do that anymore, guys.
He's such a big fantasy like thing because like he's so talented and he's in a team that is like rush first. So like every year we're waiting for him. Like he's going to be the man. He needs to get fully healthy.
All right, let's get into dudes and duds.
Dudes and duds.
I'll go first this week. I'll just get my dude out of the way. We were talking about the Broncos. Obviously, Cortland Sutton having issues. Somebody who didn't have an issue this week was Jerry Judith. 8 receptions, 9 targets. I believe that's what you call him.
Hey,
Jerry Judith.
Is that his sister?
I don't know. It might be. 8 catches, 9 targets, 73 yards. Not crazy, but he had 3 touchdowns, which is obviously
crazy.
Not sustainable, but in a Broncos offense, I don't know that they've scored 3 touchdowns in a game before this. So the fact that he did it himself.
100% not passing.
Yeah. The fact that he did it himself in one game, pretty impressive. If anybody was starting him at that point, I know at this point in the season, if you had Jerry Jeudy, you might not have been in contention, but
the bye weeks might have pushed him into.
He probably
lineups.
Yeah,
one of those touchdowns was from Ripien, so don't get scared that they were all 3 Wilson. One of them was Ripien, so they have some type of rapport.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if I'm afraid of the Broncos players. If you were starting them, you're not any less scared now than you were because it was bad, and it's not going to get much worse. I don't think.
Judy's an interesting case. I was like seeing about him. He's on a lot of teams that are good in fantasy that failed, and a lot of teams bad. It's just depending on where you got him and how much he meant to your team, right? I saw a lot of people that were like he was their top like 2 receiver, and that's gonna hurt. But if you had him as like your flex or like someone that you could keep on the bench and have like good depth at one position, then now Jeudy is going to help you.
Yeah,
win.
or if you bought
yeah.
low, like if you
Right,
bought low
yes.
on him, like I made a trade earlier in the season where I sold him low. Well,
Right.
I guess it was. I sold Jerry Jeudy and Melvin Gordon at the time when it was after the injury that who am I missing? Williams.
Javonte Williams.
Yeah, Javonte Williams. When he went out, there was hype around Melvin Gordon, and I was like, I don't want this. So I packaged them both, and I think I got back like Christian Kirk, which at the time he was balling, and he's had a few weeks where he's back. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
So I was willing to buy 2 Broncos. That's incredible.
I know. That was
no, because
crazy.
early in the year, remember, it was like first it was like, oh, they're kind of slowing off, but they have really good
just
players.
A hiccup.
Oh,
yeah.
they'll figure it out. And now, like, it was like week 8 or like 7, they're like, oh, this is not changing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you bought Jerry Jeudy low, he's probably a flex player for you, and that's a great flex
huge.
play.
Yeah,
that's
and
a
if
good
you just
flex
had
play.
8 and 9, like your game you just mentioned with Jeudy, you won your week this week.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting matchup against Cardinals too. You might some people might be tempted to start him. Don't shy away.
Well, Cardinals
He's the main
don't
dude
have
in that offense. So.
They don't have their number one. Brian Murphy's been out for multiple weeks. So if Sutton's out, then Judy's going to be the number 1. So that's a lot of opportunity there.
All right, I'm gonna go to my dude, Chigoziem Okonkwo. I had a week to learn his name,
man.
so I got to give him props.
Good
You know,
stuff.
the numbers don't stand out on the page. Caught all 6 targets for 45 yards and a touchdown.
He
but
stands out.
It's
he's
rare.
good.
Oh, he's a massive human being,
Right.
and it's also rare that we have a leftover that we hype that's like under 10% owned, and then he delivers the next week.
Oh, there you go.
I feel like there's a lot of
Yes.
leftovers that we hype up, and it's like, oh, okay, they didn't do much with their opportunity.
This is up there with Shakir. I
Yeah.
think my Shakir is one of my top 1 because he actually hasn't had any games except the one I
if you
pumped
stream
up.
like that,
Yeah.
you stream like that, and he puts in this performance that wins you the week, and he might continue to do that
I
as
would
long as Treylon
argue-
Burks is in concussion protocol. So
I would argue he's more than a streamer. I think he's overtaken Hooper, who sucks. He's
Yeah,
so
I think
bad.
that's
Cooper
fair. I
actually
agree.
had more yards than him, but he didn't have a touchdown. He didn't have the targets.
He's
it's just,
weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He'll like boom some weeks, but most of the weeks you forget he's on a football team.
Yeah. No, he's like I said, massive human being. He's a bulldozer. He's getting yardage. They're trusting him in 2-point conversion situations. He's getting a lot more time on the field than
How
he did.
can you not love him in the red zone?
Yeah, and like you said,
Tannehill likes the safe option, so he's a safe option.
no, for sure. And then Burks is a big body in the red zone. So like you said, if we don't have no Burks, then you need to be using people like not saying his name. You got it. You nailed it.
Well, it's clearly not Robert Woods, and
Yes.
Bikini had like a 2-touchdown week, and that's been it for him. So
He's a great blocking receiver, so that week was not going to happen as much. And Woods, like we've talked about on 6 scores since the beginning of the summer, about his ACL recovery was going to be a problem. I'll say my dude, one of the best tight end weeks of the year, out of nowhere, Evan Ingram, 11 receptions, 162, 2 touchdowns. I don't even know if you had him in your lineup, but if you did, like, good job. Tight end landscape has been so barren. He's actually not been terrible. So he might be enough that you still had him in. He's been better than Everett and, those little lower guys that people had last couple weeks. But that's a huge game. That's a game that, like, if you were dying off on some your players didn't play well, he was covering a lot of your discrepancies in points. So good for the Jaguars. They scored 36 points on the really, really bad pass defense that we talked about in 6 score. A lot of injuries. So Kirk didn't really take advantage. It was just all the usage was going to Evan Ingram.
and Zay Jones.
Yeah, I wish Kirk got a
I'll
little
talk on
more,
Twitter.
but it was fun to watch. Yeah.
No, absolutely. It looks like Peterson's he's kind of like a QB whisperer. I know Meyer didn't have a handle of that team, but also you can't also say that it was his fault. Lawrence didn't have an effective year last year, but this year it looks like the offense is tailored more to him. He's playing real well. Kirk, I wasn't really fully strong on, which right now, like if you would have paired both of these guys together, you'd have a really good low stack going on, because Kirk has been outstanding this year, way better than I think anybody thought. He never had one, wide receiver one, routes. He was always a 2-3 in Arizona. He got
the one money. He got the one money.
And he's playing like a 1, which is
good for him.
Sometimes doesn't always work like that. So
yeah,
good for him. And then obviously, if you have an Ingram, congratulations, because that was a huge week for you.
Before we get into the duds, George Cook on our YouTube stream right now, he says, if my only backup running back is Jamal Williams, am I forced to play Kenneth Walker this week? And then he would then flex either Mike Williams or Jamal Williams, or Mike Evans or Jamal Williams. So do you start Kenneth Walker over Jamal Williams, and then he's asking for flex Mike Evans or Jamal Williams, the leftovers, if you're playing Kenneth Walker?
I would start Kenneth Walker.
That's really tough.
His FP is like, if he was LP all week, I would be kind of worried about him. It seems like he's gotten over it.
I want to say as dominant as the Niners have been, their weakness is their defensive line. Javon Kinlaw's been out for the majority of the season. Eric Armstead just came back, and now he's foot and ankle, I think. So that middle, Kenneth Walker could take advantage of, and that's what he's one of the best runners up the gut in the league. So.
And Seattle losing the last couple games is because of him. It's because everybody can key in on Geno now. So it's very easy to stop that offense. It's very one-dimensional. So they want Walker back, and just him having him back will open that team up, and they'll be scoring points like crazy. Like they were.
I say play Kenneth Walker, and the Mike Evans, Jamal Williams thing is gross. Evans has been kind of
Jamal Williams you gotta love, but like against the Jets just shut everyone down, especially run game. So maybe Quinnen Williams.
I would do
Mike a little bit.
Mike Evans 100%. You got him playing against the Bengals. That's going to be a shootout.
Very
and
true.
on top of that, Shindobi Owuzie
there you go.
is out.
Very nice.
I know, thank you.
You didn't go Okonkwo, but
no, I'll do that one.
Yeah.
Out for the season with that. Is it Achilles?
ACL.
Yeah, ACL. Sorry. So without him, that's a one that he's a lockdown, and then that means Eli Apple has to shift up. He sucks. So,
yeah, that's fair. So yeah, listen, I would say still play Mike Evans. He also says Slayton's an option too, but I would say Mike Evans in the flex. But I don't think you said it was going to be a shootout. I don't know that I would trust the Bucs to participate in any sort of shootout. At least not until the very end of the game. Like you know what I mean? Like that's been their like.
I think that game's a shootout kind of.
Bengals are an exploitable matchup
at the end. Yeah, no, I get you.
Bengals are exploitable more than the Jets on the ground.
That's fair. I think.
Say.
Mike Evans could find the end zone, get some yards, but I don't think it'll come right away, and you'll probably be sweating it for a little bit. It'll probably be like a second half.
Garbage time counts the same, so.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the duds of last week. I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift. That situation's still super weird. Obviously, Jamal Williams is there stealing touchdowns. He didn't really do anything last week either, but 6 carries, 21 yards, 3 catches for 18 yards. You drafted like DeAndre Swift was first round pick. I think he's been a dud before. I think he's also been a dude before. He's all over the map, but his usage is so low right now, and they're still winning games. So it's like, what? I don't think that's changing. You know what I mean?
No.
Like the recipe is working. I don't know what you're going to get.
It comes right after a breakthrough week where he like got 18 touches and looked like the dominant back in that offense, and then all of a sudden he's back to this role, this question mark role that Dan Campbell has chosen for him. But obviously no knock to Dan Campbell. That team's on fire right now. So
they're winning. Anything. It's insane. Like I'm hyped to watch Lions games.
No,
man.
they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
No, we'll have our version of the Dundies, I think, at the end of the year, and just like do like bust team and stuff. Because like you said, Swift that sucks. If you had him,
draft capital is just
if you had him there, I don't think there's like I was look at a percentage of like players that are on playoff teams. He ain't on any. Like sorry, no, he really
excellent grammar.
He just like he's not playing well this year. The injury definitely didn't help. I know he had this stuff in the past. We were kind of a little bit weary on him. He didn't have a great 6 score to start the year. I don't know. His receiving game is something that's so useful in PPR, and that's why he was surprising last year and jumped up the rankings last year. That's why he was so high this year. But the running, he seems very he reminds me of like LaShawn McCoy was before he figured it out. He's very dancing around in the backfield instead of just running straight and figuring it out.
You haven't seen a lot of decisive cuts from him, which is what you need to see from a guy that big and that talented.
Like Pierre Strong, speaking of someone we will talk about a little later, he had 1 cut yesterday, and I swear every single one he was gone. Like he had 2 runs where he had 1 cut to the side, and we had the under as a sick pick in that game. That last run he had when he made the cut on the side and he broke on the sideline, he could have scored there. That he's a great decision. Looking down the field. So Swift hasn't shown that. He actually looks like he's not seeing the field well, which is not good. Williams has actually had such a good year that it's good argument to keep Swift on the bench. So that's what the Lions and fantasy players have probably been doing.
I have a question here that yes. this might hurt. If you have DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams and you can only play one, who do you play?
It's got to be Jamal Williams.
It's got to be Jamal Williams?
See, that's tough. That's tough for me.
They push the ball down the field. Jamal Williams is the red zone guy.
Why do the Lions always?
A good matchup, but
it depends on what league. Honestly, I said PPR. I still stick to the Swift runs because you're gonna get that game where they're down finally. Not finally. Sorry, Lions. Not rooting for your downfall. But there's gonna be a game where they're finally losing, and Swift's gonna get 9 catches at the end because he's kind of like the one that they start throwing to. The Lions, they start throwing like crazy when they're losing or they're down for a couple touchdowns. So Williams doesn't catch the ball that great. The one thing that you automatically get is that automatic 6 points for the touchdown that he gets almost every game. Right?
It's crazy to me that the Lions always find a way to be inside the 2-yard line. Like it's like every game they're like, whoopsie. We couldn't get it in. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown couldn't pierce the goal line.
98-yard catch.
It's like, what is that? And they fall at the 2. They're doing it on purpose.
To go to anymore. So
no, that's a stat we could figure it out and look at. But I guarantee you're right. He probably has the most touchdowns within 10 yards.
100%.
Sure.
It's ridiculous. I would say within 4. Like, you know what I mean? I think all of his touchdowns almost come within 4.
That's what Connor did last year with the Cardinals. You literally would the first half of the year you would have like DeAndre Hopkins just going down to like the 1-yard line. Then Connor would just be like, all right, or Kyler would just like run on end round, that's how it works. That's how you get touchdowns.
Adrian on our YouTube stream, hey guys, am I crazy for starting Donovan Peoples-Jones over Amari Cooper this week?
It's a little bit right watching last game. It looked like Watson has a thing with him, so that's it's a conversation you should have in your head. I mean, if it doesn't work, you're going to be having some sleepless nights in Seattle. So that's going to be an issue. But
does wind come into play? I've seen some rumors about wind in Cleveland.
You're always the weatherman.
But does that change? I mean, they're in the same game. It's Cooper and Peoples-Jones. They're like he's got the.
No, you're just betting on who gets
the deep ball. Or,
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Peoples-Jones is definitely the deep ball threat for sure.
And they've said Deshaun Watson's been pushing the ball downfield more because.
And who had a better game last game?
More than Jacoby Brissett. So.
And we don't.
Sometimes you got to make these. Sometimes you got to make the bold decision. If you think the numbers are skewing one way, then I don't think that it's like egregious to do it.
When in doubt, coin flip. That's horrible advice, but
that'll do too.
Did you edit that out?
What's that? Oh yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on. Taylor, you hit us with your dud.
My dud is Tua. I'm kind of burnt a little bit because we had a sick pick that I was really wanted is the Jalen Waddle prop that we put in, but I realized that it wasn't Waddle's fault. I'm blaming it on Tua. He finished 10 for 28. There was a period in the game he was 3 for 17. It might have been worse. I just remember specifically 3 for 17. That's terrible, and that's been multiple weeks. Inaccurate for weeks. Sorry, I had to make sure I said that right.
He was inaccurate. Yes.
He was inaccurate.
So he was inside accurate, or no? He was inaccurate.
He's not in the accurate zone.
He was He was in an Acura.
Okay. Going nowhere.
Yeah. So no, it's he's a guy that led you to the playoffs because like we were talking about. I remember specifically you were mad at me about putting him over Rodgers. Should have put him higher up. Was the hindsight thing. But no, in reality though. Tua has been excellent this year, and it's for someone that's waited to get a quarterback late. You need him. So these last couple games, if you made the playoffs in the first playoff week was this week, then you might be done after him leading you to this is like a 98-yard run and then leaving at the 2 and not scoring. Because Tua has been sensational this year. He's led the league in passer rating. So the fact that these issues, we can definitely tie him a little bit to the right tackle and left tackle, both.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Left tackle issue, Terran Armstead. Right tackle, Austin Jackson been in and out of lineup all year. So we can definitely tie to that. He needs his bookend tackles, especially with the scheme Mike McDaniel has. You need those things need those offense linemen to be effective. But that's my dud because he's been absolutely terrible last 2 weeks in this game.
Can you trust him against the Bills? Probably not. Even though no Von Miller, less pass rush, but they're getting healthier on pass defense. They have some pieces, and Jordan Poyer is playing full and playing out of his mind.
This is one of those. Yeah. This is one of those situations where if I have Tua and I'm in the playoffs, Tua's my guy. Like I can't blame him. I mean, the Waddle, the Hill. Like I mean, you just hope that something happens.
Of just just underneath route to Tyreek could go to the house at any time. So
this is the week of backup quarterbacks. So I honestly think there's not too many options that are different from starting possibly bad Tua, right? I don't know. You got it. Like you said, you got to roll with him.
Yeah. My dud is Travis Etienne. Rough week for him. 17 carries for 32 yards. He's the main dog with Hasty as the backup. Hasty only got 4 carries, but tough to see that Etienne couldn't get that production in a matchup against the Titans where they're pretty much leading the whole time. Titans front is tough. Jeffrey Simmons kind of had a little ankle deal, but he's a big run stopper in that defense. So the rough part is he's not getting any better of a matchup this week against the Cowboys. So I don't know. Yeah. Do you look at sitting Etienne for someone?
No,
I don't know. Etienne got a lot of people to the playoffs too. So
I still don't think
he's one of those players as well. If he's on your team, you're probably in the playoffs.
It's the opportunity, right? Who are you going to find that's going to have more opportunity than him? I know 17 carries is a lot. That's a lot of touches. And granted, you'd like to see some more pass work. He probably will get it this week, but everything last week went to Evan Ingram, so I just like chalked that. They were just like, "Hey, Ingram,
Like
it's your birthday.
week, yeah.
Take
Dallas,
it."
Dallas is pretty tough against the run, so I mean, you'll have to look at that. But like you said, there's certain players that even though they had a bad 1 week, you can't just like fault them.
Can't write them off. Yeah.
All right, let's turn the microwave on and get these leftovers rolling. That's what this is. It's a microwave.
The leftovers.
Okay, so a leftover is somebody who is just barely owned. That obviously you're listening now or you're watching right now. The waivers have already run. These are players that could probably still be stuck on your waivers that are looking for a good home, and they want you to be their forever home, at least for this week. And they could be more valuable than some players that you're holding on to that you probably shouldn't be, Odell Beckham. Let's get into these right now and then run down this list so we can find some gems like last week.
Hunter Renfrow getting activated off IR. That is an interesting option. I don't think many people stashed him on IR, depending on how deep your league is. So I don't know if he immediately comes back and has a good performance against the Patriots, but look at him if you need if you're stacking up for a week from now or 2 weeks from now.
I'll say something about him. I know I'm a Raider fan, so this is obviously not going to be negative at all. But the Patriots do a really good thing, and they take away the best option on the team. Everybody knows it's not Derek Carr. So I mean, it's going to be Devontae Adams is the best weapon for the Raiders, right? So
What? How dare you
What?
slander
How dare
Josh
you?
Jacobs?
So sorry, I got sidetracked. So the best thing for them is that they take that away. That's their best thing they do. So Hunter Renfrow, that's a good matchup for him. Their cornerbacks have been playing really well. All the Joneses, I literally seen like 8 of them. Like they have John, they have Jack, and they have Mac, and they're all good, right? Jalen Mills has been a little unhealthy this year. He has, but he is decent. I just think that's a good matchup for Renfrow. Waller, I don't know about him.
Right.
Nobody's known about him all year. So.
But like, that's one of those players too that we were talking about this podcast, that he's a player that's probably not on a playoff roster. So
that the only thing that concerns me with Renfrow is when I saw that notification come across where these are activated, I was like, oh, sick, Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. If it was one or the other, I'd be a little more intrigued. The fact that they're both back, I don't know how that kind of, I feel like they do better without each other, and they're stuck to each other right now, and it kind of is concerning. So I almost like would rather see Waller's not playing, and then I'll be like, all right, Renfrow, maybe I'll pop him in. I don't know.
One thing I will say, I feel like Carr in his reads, if Devontae's not open, he's looking at Renfrow. He's not looking at Waller next. Waller
That's
might
fair.
be the third in the progression, but that's reading a little too deep.
I don't even want the option of Waller out there is what I'm saying. But
No,
I'm not a
wouldn't-
Raiders fan.
He shouldn't be.
I wouldn't count on it either. So
If
Well,
you're in the
that's
playoffs,
fair.
if you're in the playoffs, he shouldn't be in your lineup. Like I would be starting. What did we just say? Say his name.
Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Justin
Nice.
tried. That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. No,
Yeah.
I'm only pointing to Jacob here. No, but that's the kind of player that honestly, that's wasn't even drafted that you should be starting automatically over Waller.
Let's talk about Isaiah Hodgins. He had a heck of a game against Commanders last week. There's nobody for the Giants. Healthy Saquon, maybe it opens up the passing game. I'm reaching really deep. He's 2% owned.
I'm one of the 2%.
I'm trying not to make a gross face, and I'm like, it's
No.
hard,
I'm
dude.
one of the 2% in our league, our 6-score league, 14-man, 4-flex league. I'm starting him, and I have been for the last few weeks, and he's been a positive for my team. So I'm okay with this. Like I think he's there. The opportunity's there. It does look gross on paper, but like I'll take a 10 fantasy point game from somebody that wouldn't have been on anyone's radar a couple weeks ago.
I mean, you're not asking for much out of him. Last week, or his last good performance against Commanders, 5 catches, 44, and a touchdown. So, but Taylor brings a good point. If you're looking for that kind of performance at this time of the year, you probably got bigger problems. So
Maybe
we'll move on.
Yeah.
One guy I like, I'm just going on the list. Ben Skowronek, love him.
Scrawny neck. Yep.
Finally had a good game. I've been waiting for him to have a good game since Cup has been out. He looks like he can have a decent game. Baker was feeding him a lot, so I'm not sure if Baker's going to do that again. But if he does a little bit of that, Skowronek should get a lot
It's just
of work.
incredible that we're talking about Ben Skowronek and Baker Mayfield chemistry in Week 15 of fantasy
baby.
football.
You didn't
So-
stack them? They've been hyped
Yeah,
all
what?
summer. What are you talking about? Yeah.
I mean, but you're right though. There was a connection in that 2 drives.
Yes.
So
Yeah. He had like
maybe
I
there's
don't-
something there.
out of all the wide receivers on this leftovers list, which is Kendall Hinton, which is a decent option, obviously.
I forgot he picked up a hamstring, so I'm crossing him off.
Okay, all right. So there's no Hinton. All right, but I'm saying Renfro, Hodgins. I think my favorite one is Chris Moore for the Texans. 5% rostered. This man got targeted like crazy, right?
Oh, and he caught all of them. He got all his targets. He
had 11 targets, 124 yards, no touchdowns, but like that's volume. And I want some
we're
of
not
that.
doing our job by at least mentioning he should have been a dude, kind of.
Yeah.
That's No, he's one that we saw the reports today. Cook's not practicing again with his calf.
He's not going to push it. He's done. He checked out.
Which
I don't
He's
blame
not
him
even
at all,
there.
so.
He's Deshaun Watson.
Nico Collins, on the other hand, have no choice to play there for another 2.5 years.
Soft tissue.
His foot.
Correct.
His foot, and then he didn't play last week. He already didn't practice again this week. Today would argue they both already out again. So Moore, Dorsett. I just remember looking at that last week and just looking at, do I pick up Moore or Dorsett? And I'm like, Chris Moore, and it was Chris Moore.
He's had games like that before, so
yeah.
I think Moore is a good option. We want to talk about Pierre Strong and what's going on in New England right now. Obviously,
7% owned. Yeah.
We're not seeing Ramondre Stevenson this week. Is the vibe we're getting? Is Damian Harris coming back? And what are we expecting from him? Is Pierre Strong an option?
No, Strong's an option, but the Harris thing will throw a wrench in that because Harris injury isn't too crazy enough that we can automatically rule him out. We don't think anything significant there. He did miss last week.
Just a thigh. Who knows if it's a quad contusion or strain? Probably not a contusion or probably not a strain because he was close to playing this week.
It seems
like some practice time. So
the Belichick way too. Like if
he loves 2 running backs, so that is the argument for
Strong.
So
is Strong
the
pass catching
guy.
Strong and Harris both might have good games in a way. Like Raiders have a terrible run defense. So they have a good pass defense, like rushing the quarterback with Max Crosby, but not on the run game.
I'm trying to find like a comp for Strong, and I'm like, if Pierre Strong's on your waiver wire and you have like Gus Edwards, Gus Edwards or Pierre Strong, who are you starting?
You should start Pierre Strong. Pierre Strong should be in a lot of thoughts. I mean, he's the number 1 pickup of all fantasy right now. The one I'll do with less percentage than him is let me see this.
I got you. Dare Ogunbowale.
Yeah.
I think Rex Burkhead definitely will play, but I just don't. I think speaking of like who's done Cooks wise, Burkhead will play, but I don't think he has any juice. He can't separate from anybody. Darius, he scored a touchdown last week. He's a very, very good receiving back. So if anything, he might be a slick little like flex play, PPR, get like 4 or 5 catches. We're not expecting a lot. It's 2%, but
why would they not give him a look?
Yeah,
especially if it's a blowout against the Chiefs, which it very much could be.
But are they going to be running? Like they're going to be throwing the ball to Christopher Moore the whole game.
True.
All right.
They waived Benjamin too, so there should be a little bit more volume for him.
That's weird. He's got to be unlikable. That's what I'm saying. Like this is the second time where you're like, what's up with this guy? I don't know. It's weird. That's a weird situation. One more running back, Marlon Mack, scored a touchdown, long one last week.
Yeah, that's the only reason we're talking about him, shouting him out. But
right,
you talk about the Denver offense. He just, congrats. He's back from Achilles, and he's not 100%, but he scored a long touchdown. So good job.
He's not getting
Marlon
usage.
Mack.
So, I mean, that good touchdown, but I mean.
There is only 2 running backs in on offense currently. So that's
something.
It's worth hanging on to. I don't know who you're dropping for him, but
Marlon Mack or Gus Edwards. I keep bringing Gus Edwards up. Gus Edwards. Okay. All right. Let's do shootouts and droughts, see what's going on next, obviously this upcoming week and where the points are.
It's some shootouts and droughts.
That's a lot of fun there. It gets really weird whenever we just hit that button and stare at each other, but that one feels good. Let's get into these matchups. There's some good ones, and then there's some really just some super bad ones that you should probably avoid.
Well, first one is a matchup in Houston, so that theme song is perfect for it. Chiefs at Texans, we talked about a little bit. Going to be I don't know, it might not be a blowout. Texans hung with the Cowboys last week, so however they did that, maybe they surprised the Chiefs too.
I would need Stingley to come back, their number 1 corner. That's a crucial part of their team. He's been out with the hamstring.
Is he some of the wide receivers of the Chiefs that everybody can count on week in and week out?
Are we going to see Kadarius Toney?
No.
Are we? Such a safe answer.
I can count.
I really
feel
hope
pretty
we
good
do.
about just saying no. But yeah,
it'd be great if he just came back and just roasted the Texans. But I don't know anybody who's trusting him in the fantasy lineup in the first round of playoffs.
Like if Hardman comes back first week off the 20, like off his IR stint,
automatically better
Tony?
value than Tony.
More than Tony, that'd be kind of bad for Tony.
Yeah.
That's like, come on.
I feel like
But,
that's a very real possibility.
Very real possibility.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this is like you said, like this is when it gets weird with like the Texans. It's obviously the highest point total of the week. That's just saying. I'm still in on Chris Moore. Like I feel like Chris Moore wasn't a fluke last week. Obviously, he's 29 years old. It's not like he's just like breaking out of nowhere. But it's literally just the
He's on the
volume
Ravens for a while. No, he's been like the guy that like just runs down the field, like the field stretcher. So like, yeah, no, he knows what he needs to do. He's been on the team before too when they had nothing, and it took advantage.
That's probably like a cheap DFS. Well, I won't even say DFS play because he did kind of pop last week, so they might be on him a little more this week. I don't know what his numbers are at.
Look at his salary,
DFS,
we'll see.
But yeah, that's something to monitor.
Colts at Vikings, the second highest point total, 48.5.
Saturday game. Yep.
Saturday game. Interesting. I mean, you got to expect Justin Jefferson's like getting 200 yards every week, right?
It's just that's built in.
It's just
I think,
automatic.
right?
I need him for Scott Fish.
I can't believe they didn't count his touchdown near the sideline. I mean, we were all watching The Office. He looked like he stepped out live, and then they go to replay, and he didn't. So you could have added like 30 yards and a touchdown on that performance.
I was okay with his 200 plus for fantasy.
Yeah, no, I mean it was good.
Asking for more.
Yeah, you'd always want more though, for sure.
Yeah.
Colts coming off a bye. What do you do with that offense? Pittman has been a huge disappointment all year.
He's fallen off. He had a good probably 4 games start the year. He had the injury, and he's kind of like that offense is hard. Like honestly, Jonathan Taylor, he's had a bad year, could be because of that too. That offensive line too is interesting. I didn't think it would be this bad.
They're still figuring it out in week 15, which is a horrible sign.
It was bad because they've been a top 10 unit last 3 or 4 years. Quentin Nelson took a huge step back this year. There's multiple issues. They're starting a left tackle that's terrible. That rookie year.
Easy now, guys. They had a bye. They finally got their bye week with their brand new coach. So they're going to come out and they're going to be just popping shots. I can feel it.
Popping shots.
Popping shots. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. No, I'm obviously hoping for big things from Pittman because I'm invested in him a little bit. But
me too.
I honestly feel like Paris Campbell's probably the better play.
I was going to say, if you're desperate and you're streaming Colts wide receiver,
that's
not
it.
Michael Pittman, it's
everybody else.
Campbell, not Alec Pierce.
Oh, I actually like Alec Pierce. It's not Pittman though, because his price on DFS, if we're talking DFS, is always too high.
Yeah,
he hasn't reached it yet. So,
Eagles at Bears is the next one. We talked about Justin Fields a little earlier. Don't be concerned about the illness. He'll be back in full. You want to see it illness Wednesday. You don't want to see it illness Friday.
Is this the 2 best quarterbacks of fantasy that are non-Josh Allen?
I want to see 500 rushing yards from the quarterback position in this game.
I have Fields too, so I'll take Scott Fish. I have Jefferson, Fields. I want them all to do whatever you guys just said. A lot.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting. I know. I'm excited to watch it. It's both. Obviously, both times they're electric quarterbacks. So you're going to see there's not going to be a moment in this game outside of special teams.
Well, do you see Hurts is minus 140 at some books at MVP odds, which is pretty remarkable to the turn he's took. I wasn't even high on him to start the year, I'll admit, but that's huge for him. We talked about the one thing
he's sustaining both. That's the one thing that sticks in my mind.
But I remember we talked about on the podcast the one thing that I didn't know if he could do, but he obviously has. It's getting these guys the alpha dog wide receiver. Kyler did a little bit with DeAndre, but kind of fallen off. Also, horrible injury he suffered. But Diggs to Allen, Brown to Hurts. It looks like that's a calling card or something that you need to do to help these players. They can't just be learning how to on the fly with this guy, and this guy. So I mean,
it's weird that and the NFL's just learning that. They're like, wait a minute, get our young quarterback a really good pass catcher.
Well, it's hard to pry. Like those guys back in the day usually weren't open. Like you keep the Jerry Rices on the Raiders and let him
no one's moving
on
anywhere,
to 1-win seasons and let him until his contract's up. You know what I mean? Yeah. But now even Justin Jefferson, I feel like those players everybody's tradable. It's just like once we just saw Tyreek get traded. Speaking of
that's wild. Yeah.
I missed to Tyreek.
Right.
Just it just seems like the top players. My dad always said if Wayne Gretzky got traded, then everybody gets traded. And he got traded to the Kings when he was like the best player in the league. So everybody gets traded.
Who's it?
He handpicked AJ Brown and was like, I want that dude. And it's 100% work. So
who's a quarterback in the league outside of the ones?
It's not
a tough
one
choice,
of the best receivers.
I mean, at least it work.
So I'm trying to think of
DK seems next, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm like a quarterback, I'm like, let me handpick DK. He seems like a
I thought you said.
fast-paced,
Sorry,
but
I
can
thought you
look
said
great.
DJ, and I was like, yeah, DJ Moore needs to get out of Carolina for sure. But I don't
That's
know if he's
another,
a
that's
pure
another
alpha.
one. If I had a
He's
little
good.
basket, I'm like DJ Moore.
I would love to
out.
see DJ Moore with like a good quarterback, or like just in an offense that is like.
And he's a
utilize
different
him,
kind of
'cause
receiver. He's not
really
like
good.
a possession. He's very like fast and like he can get down the field and do the yak and stuff. So you get
Yeah.
someone that can feed him accurately. He can.
So real quick off the top of your head, I'm trying to rack my brain. I can't really think of anybody. But who's a quarterback in that situation where they're kind of young, they're not really doing well, but if they got another wide, like a good pass catcher that could kind of take them to the next level. I don't know.
Trevor Lawrence?
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's
Can I-
probably.
can I
I
tell
mean,
you
well,
one
wait a
that's
minute. They
never
just
had
paid
Can I
Christian
tell you
Kirk.
someone that's never had a number one wide receiver is Lamar Jackson.
That's fair. That's fair.
I
Yeah,
mean-
they had Marquise Brown, but I mean, he wasn't superb.
Pickett for me is is kind of good. Like if you wait like 1 year and he develops a little more, and then you give him someone that's like get rid of Deontay Johnson because he's a basket case. Pickens obviously is a number 2, or if he develops into 1, he's close.
I'm excited for Desmond Ritter this weekend. I know we're just got a tangent
Me
now,
too.
but I'm
No,
like, I want to see
I'm
what this
totally-
guy can do. I
I
wish
have
they
some
would have done
dynasty
it
shares
sooner.
of him. Yeah,
Wish they
I
would have
agree
done
with
this
If
sooner. I don't
you
know
have
what they-
Drake London on your roster, how do you take the Desmond Ritter news?
you need to see how they do because this might be a partnership that might be there.
So
Mariota
you're
was
holding them through the playoffs. You're like hoping they figure out.
Oh, you're not
2 weeks?
dropping him, but are
No.
you starting him? That's
That's
scary.
the question. Yeah,
I
you have a number
probably-
1 wide receiver for a team. It's just a matter of starting him or not.
Yeah.
Ugh. I honestly, I mean, how much worse could it get than Mariota? Like, I mean, it's not.
I could get worse. Like Davis Mills and Kyle Allen, everybody asked that question. You saw it.
Pickett
It got
to
worse.
Trubisky,
It got worse.
Like,
Yeah.
It can definitely get worse, but
Yeah.
how much better could it get? I like the glass half full. That's usually you, Justin. So
Yeah. I mean, the thing
fantasy-
is, like,
fantasy
when
perspective, yeah.
situations are bad, I'm always pretty skeptical about a change making them worse. Like, you're making the change for a reason because maybe you saw something that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Right.
Except for whatever happened with the Colts
Mike
this
White's
season.
been better.
Yeah, that was
Colts-
weird.
Okay, Mike White. That's somebody we could
I
talk
went
about
full
because
circle, and I picked up Elijah Moore after drafting him early this year, and now he's just like hanging on the free agent
He's
wire, and I'm like,
back.
he's had 2 weeks.
He's like
Yeah.
a top ad
No-
in fantasy.
No
this
Corey
week.
Davis. We didn't even mention Corey Davis, but concussion protocol, probably not back this week. Elijah Moore, favorable matchup.
I
Yeah.
picked
Garrett
up Mike
Wilson's a
White this
player
week.
that's on people's teams
Yeah,
that are in the
100%.
playoffs as well.
I'm starting Mike White over Tom Brady this week, and it feels so good. It feels good, honestly.
Congrats.
Like
That's why
I've
you
been
didn't
starting
get a
Tom
shootout
Brady.
timeout.
I've been starting
know.
Tom Brady all season long, and it has been just the most
The final
meh.
straw.
It's like I got nothing out of it. So I want a little excitement. I feel like I'm playing a little roulette here, where I'm like, Mike White, man, if he could pop off, like he has been.
He's playing the
when he's
Lions,
not getting
so
shot
it's a
in the
good-
ribs.
It's a good chance. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting times.
You got going down with the Mike White ship, so I like it.
Yeah, I feel really bad benching
It's
Tom
worrisome.
Brady.
I
but
know
mean,
he's in
it's-
like a lot of pain right now, for sure. He's
fine.
definitely struggling to move his body.
That's fine. He's a gamer.
he
He
is a
came
gamer.
right back after those 2 hits.
He did.
Yeah.
He was throwing bullets.
not concerned.
Going to the lower end of the drought spectrum, Cardinals against Broncos, 2 backups facing each other. That's going to be ugly.
Hey,
It'd be gross.
don't you call Colt McCoy a backup? All right, you're sure
He's the
maybe he
starter
is a
now.
backup, but I mean that guy he's got starter mentality.
Don't call him a backup, even though he's a backup, and you just called him a backup.
Technically, he is a backup, but when you
Even though-
say it,
Even though
two
he's number
backups,
2 on the depth chart, he's number 1 in your heart.
Yes, that's the line I was looking for. Thank you. Colt McCoy is
He's been number 1 on the
eternal.
depth chart.
I like
since
Rhyme
the Browns.
too.
Yes, I'm excited to watch old Colt sling it out.
That's a good question, though. Is it a knock to Hopkins? Is it a knock to Marquise Brown?
No. Didn't you see the Hopkins game that Colt
Yeah.
McCoy played? He had like 10 and 98.
Hopkins. I think
is
Hopkins would be fine. I'd be a little worried about Marquise Brown.
Brown, yeah, because it's pushing the ball down the field. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does Surtain guard? 100% Hopkins, right?
Does he stick to people? I don't know if
Yes,
he's
he does.
He
He
does.
does
Oh, then
stick
yeah,
to
it's
Like
probably.
glue.
I don't see Sartain winning that matchup.
but
Wow.
that's-
I like it.
well, We'll see.
Everybody always
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
really good. That guy's
No,
really good.
I know that, but like every time people
Way
are
to
like,
go out
"Oh,
on a
he's the
limb
good,"
there.
everybody always like when they say like, "Oh, he's a good cornerback," they immediately like rule out the guy.
I mean, you can't really
I
do
don't
that with Hopkins.
Yeah.
Hopkins can kind of do whatever he wants.
He's matchup proof.
Broncos side, gross. We've already talked about a
Yeah.
lot of Broncos. Probably too many Broncos this week. So yeah.
Steelers, Panthers, another gross matchup. Not sure why it's in the conversation, but you know.
It's because it's a drought. We're droughting, bro. You want to shoot out and drought. This is it. We probably should start with the droughts because now like we're gonna end this
Now you're
podcast
gonna, like,
on the
you're losing energy and stuff. I can
super
see you getting, like,
depressing.
well,
yeah.
you're still starting Deontay Foreman.
I'm starting Foreman. I have
I'm
to.
starting.
Yeah.
I'm starting for him. What do you mean
What do you
have
make
to?
of Chuba?
He's necessary.
What do you think of Chuba? Is it a breakout for Chuba? Is he like stealing carries?
No,
Chuba's
honestly,
been a
going
problem.
He's been pissing me off.
He's been
actually.
a
He's been a
Like,
problem.
get
If
the
you're a
ball out of his
Deontay Foreman
hands,
owner,
give it
yeah,
to
Chuba's been an
Foreman.
issue.
No, I totally. I'm a Foreman guy, and I'm getting kind of mad at Chuba. So I get it.
Najee Harris, DMP with a hip. Who knows if you can trust him? He's been a dud all season, so
He
maybe
was-
you're looking at an option there.
Was he good? He wasn't that great last week.
No.
Right? He had a touchdown, but 30
Played
As a
really
flyer-
oblique, but now it's a hip, so I don't even know what to make of that.
Pick up Jalen Warren. That's all I'm saying. Pick him up.
Yep.
Maybe
No.
even if you're on a bye week, pick him up. I'm just saying
don't
if
pick up Jalen Warren.
if something happens to Najee Harris and next week, I don't even know who they're playing. It's full load Jalen Warren. I'm in.
avoid that backfield if
I
that
don't know.
happens. Everybody.
We'll see.
Now
But
I
yeah,
know why we're
that's-
talking about it
that's
because it's fantasy football, and that makes these matchups relevant. So
All
Right.
of them
shout
are.
out to fantasy football for making us care about a Steelers-Panthers matchup in Week
I,
15.
They're all
still don't-
relevant, Jacob.
I still
you
don't
know
care. I don't have to care. I don't care. But
Right.
But you gotta pay
care is a
attention.
Strong word.
You
I
gotta
do
know
have to
who
pay
you're
attention.
starting.
Yes,
Yes.
that's
So you
unfortunately.
care
I do.
then. You care if you pay attention.
I guess
Automatically.
I guess. I won't say that. But anything else on your mind outside of I'm feeling good about Mike White this week.
I get
That's
you.
it. That's why I'm that's where I'm at right now in my head. I'm like, please, Michael, you can do this for me.
Michael White, you guys are you're too formal.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure.
That's the name of the writer producer of White Lotus.
Oh,
Mike White, it is.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mike White.
100%.
wow.
Yes,
Wow.
just trying to put that out there.
That's
Mike
crazy.
White
Don't
Lotus.
know which one's better because they're both elite. So
What did
Oh,
Jerry
no.
Judith write?
stop saying that.
He didn't. No, he didn't write anything. All right.
All
I
right,
guess
I'll
that's
throw it to you guys. Who am I flexing? Marquise Brown against Denver, who we
Okay.
just talked
We
about.
just talked about no.
DJ Chark against the Jets.
Yes.
Ooh.
Curtis Samuel against the Giants.
Nope.
Elijah Moore against Detroit.
Nope.
Ooh.
Shark.
So Chark against the Jets?
Yeah.
It
Shark's
feels
not being
like-
covered by Sauce Gardner though.
Yeah.
He's not.
It feels like Chark, but I might even just
There's
roll
going to
out
be
Marquise
so much
and
tension.
just
There's going to be
pray.
so much tension on Amon St. Brown that Shark's going to do what he always does, which is
But you're
ball
telling
out.
me Hopkins is winning that matchup, so Marquise Brown is not getting the leftovers.
We just talked about how Brown is not going to do well.
I know, but I'm just saying like the opportunity to maybe I don't know. Like I would probably go Chark there, but I just feel like you should keep an eye on as in your back.
Oh, don't worry.
pocket.
I'm going to think
So
way
how
too
does
much
he
about
put
it. for
someone
the
in
next
his
3
lineup
days.
and then keep an eye on it?
Exactly.
afterwards.
That's for him to waffle over. All right, it's not for me to mess with. I'm
Word,
just
I
telling you
see.
what
Because
to
I'm
what to
not
do.
replacing Gallup as the wide receiver 2, right? Gallup against the Jaguars. That's
You're
where
playing
I'm at.
Gallup.
Yes.
Why are we playing
That's where I'm
Gallup?
at, dude.
Oh,
I don't think
whoa,
Gallup's
whoa.
Everything's
I
gone
thi-
downhill.
Wait a second. No, I think Gallup is not in the lineup now.
Uh-oh. Wait,
No.
for real? Wait, you saying Brown
So
over Gallup?
Chark-
Oh man, we're off the rails
Yeah.
here.
Chark for Gallup?
And Marquise Brown over Gallup in the flex.
No. Who's the other? I think Elijah Moore. is
Elijah
there.
Moore?
Yeah.
I'm going Chark and Elijah Moore.
You're going
This is the
Elijah
play- this
Moore
is the
over
playoffs.
Marquise
This
Brown.
is the playoffs.
Ooh.
I
I don't know
might
if I
do
would
it.
do Elijah Moore over Marquise Brown, but all right, we're getting
It's
off
like,
the
it's
rails
like the
here.
Mike
This is-
McDaniels move. It makes no sense, but it's an absolute gut call. So
It's
We're
spicy.
just
It's
gonna
like
pass
throwing
every
it
down, huh?
throwing it to Penei Sewell for a first
Yeah.
down.
The
Penei
offensive
Sewell.
lineman. The offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw
That was crazy.
That was cool.
Dan Campbell's awesome. All right, let's get the hell out of here.
Yep.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week. We hope you're still listening. We hope you win your football matchups this week, so you can come back and listen to us ramble on about things you put in a microwave. So that's it. Which is what this podcast is about. What are you microwaving?
Dare Ogunbowale.
We can
Ooh.
edit
just want
like
another shot at that.
90% of his thing, which is good.
All right, see you later.